The name of this gentleman's channel is called Back Channel Media.
Did not actually want to make this video, but after watching the Candace Owens and Andrew Wilson debate yesterday on YouTube, as I'm sure most of you have, it was so strange what occurred during that debate, what was said, what wasn't said. I wanted to be able to provide feedback from an investigator. And if you're new here, I spent over a decade in the U.S. military, from everything from a combat paratrooper, psyops, military intelligence. I've conducted numerous investigations, both state,
military intelligence as well,
and federally. And I wanted to be able to provide my opinion on what I think, not just over the debate, but the investigation as a whole.
Yep.
Let's get into it. All right. So before we dissect not just the debate, but also the Charlie Kirk case, let's find out what they were even debating.
The topic of discussion today, how this got prompted is, Andrew, you said there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson shot and killed Charlie Kirk. And Candace, your position was Robinson is a patsy. So of course, we'll talk about a lot of different things, but that's kind of how the whole thing got started.
Before we get into that, let's talk about the very beginning of it. Andrew opens up by reading his phone. Now, I was not actually watching my phone. I was listening to it while I was walking. And I could tell, I'm sure as most of you, that he appeared very nervous. And if any of you have ever written a paper and you read it, it's easy, right? Because you wrote the paper. Now, when Andrew was reading off of his phone, it seemed like he was reading this for the very first time. And from a psyop standpoint here, I'll go ahead and first talking point was he immediately brings up the Israel connection. Now, the debate is not over Israel. That's not part of the debate. And he said a few things, during this opening monologue or whatever you want to call it, that stood out to me. Let's take.
I'm going to share the message with you today, which is the first time this information's ever been publicly revealed. On September 9th, Charlie's security team wrote to him, yes, law enforcement has been fully supportive and agreed to a security plan and posture. Tomorrow's event will be covered by both my team and the campus PD. If additional support is required, patrol units will be available. I have 11 on site. Charlie responded with this. Okay, great. Remind them that they are there for one person's security only, because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me.
All right. When he said that, it was a huge kick in the chest for me. And it was because almost like I knew what was going on at that point, almost kind of similar to this morning when I woke up and checked Google. There was an article that kind of took the breath out of me as well. And I'll go over that here a little bit later. But I mean, you got to look at how a psyop works. It's very similar to marketing, right? In order to make the change you want to change, you have to know who your target audience is. Who, if you're an iPhone user, your target audience is probably, somebody that bought the previous model, right? So, spoiler alert, we are their target audience. The fact that we listened to that yesterday, we are their target audience, and they're trying to make some sort of change. Now, what is that change? I mean, you could, draw your own opinion, but he's mentioning that Charlie Kirk sent a message on the 9th saying that he believed the left was coming after him. Now, what narrative are they trying to change there? I'll let you come to that decision yourself. But to me, again, we are that target audience. And then you have to find out how they receive information. Well, how did we used to receive information? Through CNN, through Fox News, through all these other networks that nobody no longer trusts, right? We do not trust those news outlets. We get our information from podcasters now, right? Joe Rogan's, Tucker Carlson's, Candace Owens, Andrew Wilson, whoever you see fit, you receive information. But just the fact that we listened to that yesterday, somebody was trying to, and even today, you're listening to this, right? You're being influenced by what you hear.
Bingo.
And that was kind of just a wake up call at the very beginning. He mentions that at the very beginning. He didn't wait till the end. Maybe he would have forgotten. No, he shows what is the most important to him at the very beginning. I don't know. That says something to me. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. And I'm not going to recreate their video. If you want to watch the video, it's linked down below. Please go check it out. You definitely need to listen to it. I'm here to provide feedback from an investigative standpoint and try to fill the gaps of what was not said and what I thought I would add to the debate. Now, again, Andrew's debating overwhelming amount of evidence. Candace is debating that she believes Tyler Robinson's a patsy. This debate realistically was only an hour and a half, and that's including in the breaks and whatnot. But more seriously, this probably debate was only 20, 30 minutes, if that. They only got to really two parts of the investigation, one of those being the DNA. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what Candace Owens says.
Where she said that when you're using those mixtures and those samples and you get up to 5+, it's really hard to make any sort of a determination. So both of those things are relevant. If you can't explain why his prints are the most degraded and you're saying he is the shooter, it's not really a so what. It's an open-ended question that people have a right to pursue. It's not a conspiracy. It's actually proof of my claim that there's evidence that he was set up as a patsy.
All right, so I'm sure most of you would agree that parts of this debate were very difficult to listen to because at some parts they were almost agreeing on the same thing. But then Candace Owens, I mean, she's like way up here, right? If you're thinking it, she's probably already 2 or 3 steps higher than you. But what she's arguing here is the DNA. Why is Tyler Robinson's DNA the most degraded on the rifle, right? So her argument, obviously, is you cannot prove that he conducted the shot based off DNA. She's poking holes in the story, right? Which means if he did not commit the aggravated murder, then essentially he's a patsy. But for whatever reason, Andrew was not picking up on this, right? Let's go ahead and take a listen to what Andrew said.
That wouldn't prove anything about him being a patsy.
It said it's evidence to support the claim that he could have been set up as a patsy.
So this is why I said earlier, so what? Because even if it's the case, this doesn't have an explanation for it yet. That doesn't actually give you any evidence in your corner for Tyler Robinson being a patsy.
It literally does, though. It literally does.
Okay.
All right. So again, Andrew's essentially mentioning, okay, who cares if the DNA is degraded and Tyler Robinson's is not the most prominent DNA on this rifle? So what? Still doesn't prove that he's a patsy. But I think what Candace Owens is doing here, in fact, I know what Candace Owens is doing here. This is just one piece of the puzzle, right? If she could poke holes in the story and prove that, which it's not her burden to prove, right? It's the defense. She's doing this because she deeply cares about this. But if, it's proven that Tyler Robinson did not commit this aggravated murder, then by default, it would make him a patsy.
Bingo.
Not? I mean, why else would the DOJ bring all this overwhelming amount of evidence to try an innocent guy, right? It would therefore make him a patsy.
Literally, by definition.
And Candace Owens kind of seen through this. She started realizing, okay, well, let's try to find out from him what makes it so overwhelming. So she mentions, a post that he posted on his Twitter account. Let's take a look.
Somebody said, so give me the clear evidence right here. I want you to provide it right here. All I heard from the investigator was, we believe this to be Tyler Robinson. Is belief something you go as a fact? You wrote the car pulling in. That's a totally blurry image. Robinson getting out of it. You have no idea if that's Tyler Robinson. The fact that he is seen 4 other times on camera, the fact being just a standard white boy with brown hair was seen walking up staircase.
He agreed again.
The DNA on the roof, we should discuss that. And on the screwdriver that he left behind, it's overwhelming, man.
Yeah, but that's not an exhaustive list.
All right, so here, what Candace is essentially doing is she's utilizing a X post that Andrew Wilson, submitted of why he thinks that Tyler Robinson committed this. Now, I don't think Candace Owens really had to go in this far into depth. I think Andrew was kind of, debating him against himself most of the time. But essentially, I mean, we can paraphrase it. I mean, he believes what has been put out. He believes this. It started off with the surveillance video, right? And while we're on that subject, I started this YouTube channel, and I can get on my soapbox because I only have 25 subscribers here. I started this YouTube to prove to people using my investigative background that Tyler Robinson could have committed this crime. It started with trying to prove that Tyler Robinson did this. And I started off with all the media that was posted, which I don't have any social media besides YouTube. So it started off with me utilizing those Ring doorbell cameras that came out. You remember that? And if you watch my very first video, I map it out. Could Tyler Robinson have been here at this time, at this place, and then polished and changed? Right. I went so in depth. I even found where he most likely polished that. You can watch that first video. And in conclusion, at the end of the video, I said that it was possible that Tyler Robinson could have committed this crime based off of what we know at this point, except that he would have had to been trained because he's not trained in tradecraft, right? And go watch that video. I'm not going to go into too much depth with that. But then my second video, I started realizing that all the surveillance footage that I was receiving from the media was flawed. And when I mean flawed, I mean they were all coming from not just the same area, they were all coming from the same family. And that was very shocking. So I knew at that point on my second video, go check it out once you finish this video, that we had been fed a lie from day one, from the psyop from day one. And that is what got me super interested in this case. Now, after watching yesterday's video, I haven't posted since then. I had to post another video because to me, this is strange. You have another guy coming in paying $300,000 to be able to debate Candace Owens. Now, I don't think this was ever about the debate.
Agreed.
Win or lose, this was never about the debate. In fact, if you watch this video, especially the second half of this podcast, you'll realize what this video is actually about. But let's go back. Surveillance video, right? He believes that the grainy surveillance video, the vehicle pulling up, all those pieces together, he can come to the conclusion that there's enough probable cause to believe that Tyler Robinson did it. Now, I don't blame him for believing this, okay? Maybe that is enough evidence for him. But it's hard to realize how much evidence is not being submitted. And that's what I'm here for. That's what this video is here for. All right. So the next few videos, what we're going to see here is why he believes the surveillance video, not just the fact that he believes that is Tyler Robinson because of the shoes that he was wearing, but also because of the statement that Twix mentions that it could possibly be him. And let's take a listen to those videos.
Twigs himself said that he had some maybe a tiny bit of doubt, but it sure looked like Tyler Robinson inside of this various surveillance footage that he saw.
So Lance, sorry.
So there's multiple reasons why it is that I believe that that's Tyler Robinson, not just because of blurry footage. Okay. So if you're asking for my inference why I think it's Tyler Robinson, is because Tyler Robinson said in his text messages, you'll be able to see me on security footage at the campus.
So what's your position here?
Yeah, so my position is that based on all of the evidence, which has been demonstrated, at least all the evidence to my knowledge, that I'm actually not seeing anything that's compelling as an alternative theory. I'm not seeing anything which is convincing me of something otherwise than what the state is presenting as evidence. That's my position.
Okay.
All right, so I showed you those videos to show you that Andrew's standpoint is he believes the DNA, he believes the blurry photos with the vehicle, the shoes that identified him, and Twix stating that he believes that is Tyler Robinson, and the text message confession of Tyler Robinson saying he's on campus and he's seen on surveillance video. Now, Candace Owens, quite the opposite. She believes that the evidence, there's holes in it. She believes the surveillance video, you cannot tell. Obviously, Twix was not 100% on the video evidence, and he just mentioned that he wears Converse. Like, you cannot. you cannot prove that it's him based off his shoes, but yet that is a tool, right? I'm not saying that you can't do that. That is one piece of the puzzle. But, and then what else? We have text messages. Candace Owens essentially mentioning she doesn't believe that because you can send a text message through anyone's phone. And can we get the GPS coordinates of, if it is him, of where he sent it? All valid questions. In fact, I would say Candace Owens' intuition as an investigator is crazy good. In fact, from not coming from an investigative background, amazing.
Agreed.
Right? As an investigative journalist, crazy good.
Agreed.
But let's break this down. If you were to hand this investigation to me tomorrow or today, what would I do? All right, so again, this is not an exhaustive list, but hopefully it will help fill some of the gaps. Now, the DOJ might have done some of these things that I'm mentioning, but if they did not, it would raise huge flags, especially when we come to trial. If this is not there, this would raise some big flags for me. So the vehicle, as we know, in Utah, there's probably thousands of flock cameras. There's without a doubt that he had to scan, more than 5 flock cameras. I would notate all the times of every time that guy passed flock, right? Every time that vehicle passed flock. Now, again, just because his vehicle was observed on campus going to the parking garage, just because his vehicle was observed by a neighbor, whatever the case, doesn't necessarily mean that Tyler Robinson was inside that vehicle at that time. That is the burden that the prosecutors will have to prove, which this is no different than any crime that is committed in big cities. You have a robbery suspect that hits a business, and you identify the vehicle. It is still just because it doesn't necessarily mean the registered owner committed that crime. It is your job as a detective, as an investigator, to be able to find out exactly who it was inside that vehicle, right? There are checks and balances to investigations. All right. So once I have all those times, now we try to find every surveillance video.
Okay, I'm gonna just stop it there. Like